Hey everybody, welcome to my workshop. As you can probably tell from this video, this first part, it's going to be a wreck. It's only going to get worse as I pan around. Um, Everyone comes on here and they make these like "Welcome to my ultimate workshop," blah 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 videos. That's not what this is. I have no videos uploaded on my YouTube channel right now, and I'm doing this video because I want to show you a few things. One, I want to show you what I currently have. I have no sponsors. Everything in this shop I've bought myself. Okay. Um, Two, I want to show you what a real shop looks like, and I want to give you the backstory of how we ended up here. So let's start with the backstory. A couple years ago, I had a really nice shop. I had spent a lot of time building out pretty much everything I needed. It was a 10-foot by 30-foot shop on the side of my house 2 houses ago. And long story short, it was a great opportunity to sell that property. I was going to make quite a bit of profit on it. So I went ahead and did it. And I put everything I have in a storage unit. And I was without my shop for a really long time, moved around twice. Then I bought this house, and this house is nothing special. This is a 2-car garage I'm going to be filming in. It's about 18 foot by a little under 20 foot this way. The garage door is over here. The entry to my laundry room and air handler is right there. My hot water heater is in that corner. My breaker panel is there. I'll pan around and show you all of this. So when I moved into this home, I basically went to my storage unit that I was paying $150 a month for, hauled everything out, piled it in here. There was additional tools and such because at the time I had a roommate who had his own tools. So we had my tools, his tools, and we had all of the kind of outdoor or garage type stuff you would have in here. So he ends up moving out. I end up getting married. And in the meantime, I converted one of the bedrooms in the house to a craft room where I would do the non-dirty type crafting. So this is 3D printing, this is laser, this is screen printing, sewing, leather working. But as things go on, I obviously am married, um, have a baby. So that room that was my office had to get moved so it could become a nursery. And in turn, the room that was my craft room has now become my office. And I have multiple roles. Outside of just doing these videos, I do educational videos for insurance. I have a day job, and I'm a gamer. So that office is overloaded. So I had to come out here and kind of make do. And I've rearranged out here a few times, but I'm now at the process where I need to build out my shop. So far, the only thing I've done is this half-finished miter saw area. I had an old DeWalt slider, which I absolutely loved, but I don't have the space against the wall, so I've upgraded to this Bosch. I took these toolboxes that were in my store, in my craft room, and I've moved them out here, and I've put this temporary stand up for the miter saw. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the shop. I'm going to kind of give you an idea of where things are going, and I'm going to show you what it realistically looks like. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of work areas. So if you look here at this mess, last week I had to replace the carburetor on my riding lawnmower. And so this shop is going to function more realistically to what many of you are going to have. It's going to be a woodworking shop, but it's also going to double as where I work on the car, where I work on the lawnmower, um, where I have to store some stuff. Now, I'm going to show you a lot of things in here, and you're probably saying, well, you've already done work. I mean, as you can see, I've got this. Let me be clear, every fixture in this office, minus this little stand right here, I've had prior to this. So we'll start over here in this miter saw area. So right here, we've got these husky white toolboxes. And one of the things I need to mention is I don't just do woodworking, I do everything. So in here, I have a lot of various specialty tools in this garage that I'm going to have to accommodate. If I only had woodworking tools, this would be so much easier. However, in here, I've got like this Klein Tools magnetic fish. I've got actual fish sticks. Um, I've got a wide variety of things, and I'll go drawer by drawer later on in the video. But it's safe to say that you're going to see more than just woodworking here. So we'll get started up here. Um, this is an old drill station that I built um, probably 10 or 12 years ago now. It was one of my first projects, so it's not very pretty. I made a lot of mistakes. As you can see, I've split some of the wood by using screws. I basically took what I already had built, and I used to have this philosophy when I first got started: if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I built this, it worked. I never felt like I needed to upgrade it. Now, in my future shop plans, this needs to get upgraded because um, I've got a wide range of tools. I've got multiple DeWalt drills. I've got, um, these big impact guns. I've got a nailer here, and I've got a drawer full of nailers down below. I've got this cheap Ryobi drill, um, flashlights. I've got other DeWalt flashlights. You'll notice on this battery storage, for instance, when I first built this, I only had a couple flex volt batteries because at the time there wasn't a lot of flex volt tools, the 60s, I should say. So at the time, I built this one little row right here for them. But now, as my shop has improved, I have a lot of these. I probably have 20 of these 9 amp hours, maybe 10, 12 amp hours. So they don't really fit too well. I've started buying Milwaukee tools as well. And so, they don't fit up top here. So they only fit in this shelf. So essentially this needs to get reworked. This setup is just not working. I've got the 4 charger. Honestly, I'm probably going to put a second one of these in because I have so many batteries. So this is definitely on the list that needs to get changed. This that I built, it's temporary to connect the two. I didn't know what saw I was going to use at the time, and so I basically just made it kind of wide. I don't plan to shrink this middle section down, but I do plan to move the saw a little bit left or right. I'm still working out the size because I do want to be able to cut up to 12 foot. But I also think I want my drill press to go right here. As it sits now, my drill press is sitting on the floor. So whenever you need to use it, you have to get down on your hands and knees. Then as we move over, let me actually get from behind the camera, and I'm going to pick up the camera and move it. So we're going to come back over here now, and I'm going to kind of give you a drawer by drawer view of all of this. So this drawer, the idea behind it is specialty tools, and not all of them are in here right now because the shop is a mess. But mostly electrical. We've got moisture meters, we've got line locators, just specialty tools. This is a lot of drill bit storage. It's not very effective, as you can see. See, this is one of the problems. So again, more drill storage. I've used these little ammo containers to hold individual bits. These cups, I need more of them. They're by Shaler. But as you can see there, when we come down here, and I mean, we've got some safety materials. I've got my X-Carve locator. It's a mess. I mean, again, random. This drawer's a little bit more organized. Staples, nails, but then we move into blades for the Sawzall, the Jigsaw, Roto Zip. This is, again, drill bit stuff that is just not organized. I've accumulated a lot of this over the years, whether it's because I bought extra because I was missing a piece, or in some cases, I was just gifted a lot of this. We have heavy duty wheels. A lot of these came from these these tool chests because I didn't want to put them on there, but we've got door handles, random hardware. Okay, so in here, I've got a lot of my nailers, okay? And the problem is some of these are duplicates because I bought like this rigid 3-pack when it was on sale. Some of them are not used heavily. Like I've got down here, I've got this Hitachi Impact. I've got the Milwaukee Framer. I've got a DeWalt. Some of these are battery powered. This is a battery powered one. Those are all pneumatic. I've got some Harbor Freight. The problem is I can't easily get to these. So when I'm in the middle of a project, like I've got to go do some fencing for the farm area, I'm going to dig these out. I'm either going to grab whichever one is easier or I'm going to pile them all out and I'm not going to pick them back up. I even have a DeWalt nailer up there. So you can kind of see the problem. We come over here. I've got this pile of stuff. This is a computer that used to run my CNC. Obviously, I have the monitor up here. I've got the Milwaukee light. This is a tool cabinet. Originally at my old shop, I had bought 2 of these. I bought this red US General and I bought that blue US General. The idea was I was going to make a miter saw stand similar to this. What ended up happening is I got it out there and I realized they're different heights. I didn't want to take them off the wheels at the time and they were too tall. So if I leveled this one out to the height of that one and I put the saw, it was just not in a comfortable position. I ended up moving. This originally was my mechanics tool chest, but it got overloaded. But as you can see, a lot of stuff. I've got random materials for the CNC. I've got this fan and solar panel kit that was meant for the chicken farm. This is a microwave in a box for doing the Leichenberg effect. You know, a bunch of random tools sitting on the top. I mean, we've got a concrete chisel. This is for my MFT table that's right here. Odds and ends. We've got this sustainer with the domino in it. It's just not very organized. Little odds and ends crafting, which they do have a purpose. You know, for a while I was making fishing lures. So, you know, crafting stuff. This is from a project where my wife's favorite chicken passed away and we were trying to save one of the eggs. And so, you know, this is from that. I got this for free when I was at Rockler. They had a bunch of them and they were giving them out. Um, this cheese grater that I wanted to mimic this hardware off of. This needs to move over to the mechanics tool chest, but it's Allen keys. I mean, hose clamps, zip ties, you know, just a bunch of random stuff. We've got hose clamps, some more. This is a box of fuses, organization pieces that I've never used, more hose clamps. These are called bung caps. Therefore, when you have wine barrels or whiskey barrels, freeze plugs, empty. This was a sanding and buffing area, sandpaper. This is a whole lathe kit for pen turning. Pipe wrenches. You know, we've got a rivet gun and we've got some Harbor Freight paint sprayers. So as you can see, it's just a colossal mess. We move over here, we've got the MFT table. We've got this Husky bench that can raise and lower that I've mounted my pack outs to, and various marking, measuring. And then I've got some of my higher end woodpeckers tools in here. This bench is actually really great because what its purpose is, it's going to move around the shop as needed. It's on wheels, it's adjustable height. So if I go over to this table saw, I can match the height and use it as infeed. I've got some other projects in the works where I'm going to mount a piece of plywood to the top of it temporarily, and I've got a router sled type deal. So let's move this out of the way. This is a drafting table. Obviously, it's covered in a lot of stuff, but it's got these drafting arms similar to these. And essentially what you do is it helps you, it's in the easiest way possible. Old architects, machinists, they use these to draft out designs before we had AutoCAD and things like that. This is a Ranger. It's a Ranger drafting table. I don't remember the model. It's got some storage. I picked this up a while ago for about 600 bucks. I love these old style drafting tables. Right now I have it mounted on some of these extra wheels. The problem is this adds about 8 inches of height to it, which I'm not extremely tall, so it puts it at chest level. It's not the greatest. I do have a project in the works where I basically want to make these wheels level with the ground, with the bottom of this. So I can essentially roll it, um, but it is level. Ideally, I would have liked this in the house, probably in my office. I don't have the space. But as we kind of work around, it's on wheels because that is my attic access. You'll also notice all of these wires hanging down. I mounted all of these lights up here recently. The, the garage only came with this one single light. It was unusable. So I still need to go back and zip tie all of these up. I need to put 3 outlets at the top because right now all of these lights are ran to that splitter, and that splitter runs across the ground into this. And I need this to be able to get power to different areas. I use it when I'm working outside. So I need to mount probably a quad gang box. There's an X on the ceiling. I don't know if you could see it. And I'm going to tap into that switch right there. But this needs to get cleaned off. One of the future projects too that I'll do a video of, if you could see that rusty green thing, that's a lamp for drafting. I love those style of lamps. So I need to do the legs, wheels on here. I would like to refurbish this a bit, get the lifting mechanism working, redo the lamp. As we go over this area right here, I'd like this to be my safety area. So ideally, I'd like to mount a first aid kit right here, and I'd like to hang my woodworking aprons, my chainsaw chaps. I'd like a little box for the glasses. So as we move over, this pile of wood is where the original tanked water heater was. I've pulled that out, and in its stead, I've put this tankless. It's a pretty small unit, but it does need some work. So you'll notice some of my sloppiness here. If you look up there, there's some white PVC in there. I do need to pull that out and put actual conduit, and I need to fix this cable. Basically, I got the tanked hot water heater, the tanked water heater, I'm sorry, went out. So I put this in temporarily. I had electric ran to the front of the panel. It looked really bad, so I needed to fix it. Well, I got to the end and I realized I didn't have everything, but I have a wife and a baby, so we needed to do it. Temporary project. I need to fix this drywall. But in this section where the wood is, this is ideally where I think I'm going to put the dust collector. I think I'm going to end up taking this line that's coming out of that box, fixing the conduit, running it into the attic, and keeping the water heater in the attic and running these pipes straight up the wall. To be decided. We come over here. Here's my old wrench storage. It doesn't look really great. I threw it together about 10 years ago as well. I love how I have it stacked. It is a little high, but I throw a stool up when I need it. But I'd like it to look better. This side over here, um, it actually had a lot more going on in the top here, but I digress. I move shops, so it doesn't really fit. This area is my mechanics area, and I need to clean it up a little bit better. I need to do a video on refurbishing this old vise. I need to get all this moved off. I can't really get into these drawers because, again, another project, some cornhole boards are there, but we'll go through this drawer. So we have my socket set, a lot of ratchets. Now, not everything is in here, so it is a little bit frustrating because as I do a project, I'll take a ratchet out. So I don't have any 1/4-inch ratchets left in here. I got to go find them and clean up. Another project area. These are my wrenches, and they're not organized. These are all the wrenches that are too small to fit on any of those up there. I'd like some kind of way to organize these. And these are also where I keep the ratcheting wrenches. Plier storage. Again, this drawer is so commonly opened that they're scattered all over the house. I do need a few more of these. I'd like to have this whole thing completely organized. And then we get into extra sockets and ratchets. So like this was a kit I used to keep in my motorcycle. This is a Milwaukee kit for this. This is an impact set. I've been meaning to get the pack outs to put these in. Torque wrench, more sockets. Some of these are here because I need to buy rebuild kits and fix them. This was a gift from work. Since this is open, I've got a radiator pressure kit, some various, jack stands. More mechanics tools. We've got the power probe, engine pressure test, chain kits, harmonic balancer, a vacuum. So odds and ends. Over here, we've got grinders at the bottom. One of these has a laptop. This is like electronical inspection cameras, computer engine readers, just a hammer drawer. So really need to go through all of that. We'll come around. I know my breaker panel looks bad. I was just in it. We just had a hurricane. So obviously I was, flipping breakers. So I put in this quad panel down here, and this is a really stupid reason, but I was only going to put 2 outlets in. I opened this up, and this house is only 2 years old. I find a large can of spray foam insulation that they buried in the wall. I couldn't get it out any other way, and I didn't want it to explode and cause any issues. So I ended up having to cut out a hole big enough to fit it out. So I just went a little bit bigger and put a 4 panel. I rotated 2 of the outlets. I wish I would have staggered them like up, down, but I didn't. So anyway, I had to put this in there. I got to get an outlet cover for those. Um, this outlet was originally designed to be here as an access panel, so I can get the thicker wires for these. You'll notice this is burnt. I made my own extension cord for it, and full disclosure, I messed up, so I burnt this outlet out. I need to go in and change that out. This ugly box right here is not actually in. I got to get a cover plate for it, but in order to route this wire for the tankless water heater, it requires 2 40-amp circuits running to it. So I needed 8 wires to go through this. And the only way I can get the wires down and over was to cut an access panel to help feed them. So got to tidy that up a little bit better. But I'm not going to touch it right now because I do need to run additional electric. So as we move over, we'll go right here. Got a random solar panel for a project. We've got blade storage that needs to be hung up, a creeper, my old Ryobi drill press. Just random stuff all over the floor. Got this Harbor Freight sander, my Grizzly G0490W. I believe this is a 6-inch, maybe an 8-inch. I think it's a 6-inch jointer. I can't remember. It's rusted. I really need to come through and sand it, clean it all up. This dust collection that's not working, this hose collector. My Rockler cast iron router table. Obviously, it's a mess. It needs to be sanded and cleaned. When I was in storage, it took a lot of rust. This is a really old clamp rack. It does not work where it's at. Sorry about that. Doesn't work where it's at because it's hard to get the clamps off. These small ones are too high. These big ones, can't get in there. This up here is some storage. Somebody showed a video of making these bin sliders, but it honestly didn't work out. This dropped it too low, and when the bins would sag, it would hit over here. I didn't like it. I'm going to take these out, and I'm going to put another row of lights going in. My garage door is not insulated, so I do need to insulate this garage door. Now, let's talk about this mess. Hurricane Milton just hit. So this is my solution to gas. This is completely filled up. It needs to be moved to the other shed. I've got a bag over it just to keep it waterproof. This is chicken and farming stuff. It's got to go to the outside shed, but I didn't have room for it. This lawnmower, this is another project. I actually ran it over with my truck on accident. I parked it next to my truck, backed up, ran it over, so I need to fix this. So all of this is plumbing, painting miscellaneous. We've got a propane heater. All of this needs to go get cleaned up and go outside. Let's take another step back. This is a foldable scaffolding type deal for home use. Absolutely love it. I'm going to keep this out here. I just got to fold it up, but I've been using it to work on the lights. I highly recommend this. They're very cheap and they're easier than a ladder. They're more stable and you can move around. So we get to the main highlights of this area. This is my saw stop 3 horsepower with the 52-inch extension. I absolutely love this saw, but I do need to clean it up. I have rust. Right now, the debate that I'm running into is, do I make this a 32-inch outfeed and I buy the sliding kit? Do I keep it the way it is? Um, Originally, my router was inside of the outfeed and it really sucked. So I need to either fill that in and keep it a 52-inch, move it to a 32-inch, consider the slider. I haven't decided yet. The slider is like $1,500. Underneath it, we have an air compressor. We have the DeWalt planer. This is some hardwoods and my pen turning kit. So ideally, future project, once I figure out what I'm doing with the length, I want to build a cabinet that fits underneath it, whether it takes the 52-inch or it takes the 32-inch. I need to put this saw on the industrial mobile base. I installed it on the regular base and I think I did it wrong because it never worked right. So let's talk about the outfeed table. This outfeed table that's piled up with stuff, um, this is something I built about 8 years ago, and it was a modified version of Johnny Brooks from the Crafted Workshop, his ultimate outfeed table. At the time, I was in a smaller shop, so I believe I did this to be 3 foot by 5 foot. I put this T-track in it. I don't like this, okay? I originally was going to have drawers on the front, and this was going to be all storage for those Home Depot HDX um, like trays. It did not work out well at all. So now it's just become loose storage for screws and nails. The top, obviously it's not affixed on there because I had taken this apart. Um, Kind of came out very poor. Right now I have the CNC sitting on top of it because I had nowhere else to put it. When I moved, I threw away that base. So ideally what I'd like to do here is I want to take this apart. I want to build another workbench for the outfeed. I want to use a better wheel system because the way these wheels are, they cause warpage on just a single pane of plywood. So I'd like it to have better wheels that don't stick out the way those do. I'd like to build it so the CNC sits on the bottom and then it has a second layer where it can be used as an outfeed. I want better wheels because I think I want to rotate this 180 degrees because most of my projects are small, but occasionally I might need to turn it to open the door and go out there. So we'll come back here. Obviously you can see the saw. This is a big mess. I've got safety gear, tool belts, a small um, chop vac underneath that. So I'd like to clean all of this up. I want to put some trim on the front of this. I built a separate toe kick because my garage is unlevel. So as you could see, this 2x6 is almost flat right there. And we've got about an inch of gap there. So I want to clean up this front, make it look nice. Under here, I want to build a little trash can on one side and a bank of drawers on the other. And I'm going to have dust collection come from the ceiling. Because this is an attic over here, I think I'm going to run dust collection all through the ceiling and have drop downs. So it's hidden up there. But as we move over, I stole this idea from somebody and never finished it. Um, these are all screws and hardware up there. Now you might be thinking, but they're so high up, how are you going to get to them? The idea is this is where I'm going to keep all of my bulk storage. Um, these are all sized because at Home Depot you can buy them in a box about enough size that fits in these, and I have them labeled. I'm going to steal an idea from, I want to say Adam Savage. And basically what I'm going to do is say this is a bolt that I keep up there. I'm going to basically zip tie it to the front like this. So I'll have an idea. And obviously they'll be organized by size. So like 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch, and then the metric sizes. So as we come down, um, I want this area to be cleaned off. You can see I have these nice linear rails. This is that project I was talking about. I'm going to mount them on a sheet of plywood and I'm going to make a router sled out of them instead of buying one. All of this stuff needs to go. This desperately needs to be organized. I mean, this is where I was going to put hand tools, but I've got like dog holes. I've got random chisels, some cheaper stuff, like a random chisel, an old chisel, this rusty saw. This needs to be cleaned up. I need a few more of these little cups from Shaler, but electronic stuff in here. Some of this, like, I don't ever use these, so I need to throw them away or give them away. More electrical stuff. Then this is hardware. Now I need to go through this and get rid of some of it. Like I've got these concrete nails. I never use them. So like those can go up top. This ideally I want this to be the stuff I use most often. So I want the metric sizes. I want just the regular screws and stuff that I use daily. Now down here we've got 2 of my saws, some Dremels, biscuit joiner. This saw is busted. I need to try to see if I could fix it. I have another saw here too, which I have the battery version of this. I do not recommend it. It is the 60 volt. It's not great. Table saw stuff, which again, I want to build a spot over here to move all of this, but my dado stack, brake, my dados, just odds and ends, the gripper. This is random craft stuff, which I probably want to move to that red area. This is a whole mess I haven't even got into, but it's like lights, just a lot of projects that have ended up in here. So there's my other circular saw. We've got the electric planer, belt sander, jigsaw, another Dremel. Right here we've got this Grizzly G0458. It is broken. I bought it for 600 bucks used. Worked great. Let a friend use it. They busted it. Let me see if I can take you over there. The chain drive on that side's busted. I gotta actually take this apart, clean it up, and see if I can repair it. I don't like this one. The Jet one and the other ones, they're a lot more compact. They're a lot more precise. But for the price that these things cost, I'm gonna have to fix this one and keep using it. I put wheels on this. These are not the wheels that are supposed to come from it. I bought these from Harbor Freight. This thing sucks. It is heavy, and the wheels just don't work. Ideally, I'd like to either build a different mount for it, or I would like to fix the wheels, something. This thing is not great. I don't like these style of mounts. My planer came on one of these, and you can't fit a lot underneath it. So something I need to work on. I might just upgrade this thing later, but they're so expensive. Then I've got the Grizzly bandsaw. This is the 35th anniversary. I don't remember the size. Like maybe this is the 17 inch, something like that. Don't shoot me if I'm wrong. So let's talk about this. One, I just installed this garage door 2 days ago. No, 4 days ago, right before the hurricane. I need to put the sensors. I need to get all of this wired up a lot better. But I needed this done for the hurricane. My mother-in-law can't lift this door without the garage door opener because she has bad knees, and I needed a way for her to be able to use it. And this one I bought with the battery backup. So I knew until I get the generator hooked up, we could get her running. Let's talk about this bandsaw. Again, it was in storage. It needs to be cleaned up. This bandsaw has given me nothing but problems. I don't know if it's maybe because I didn't know how to set it up or calibrate it. But when I first bought this thing, I had wild ideas of me um, ripping my own wood and going through all of that. I've never got this thing to work great. I put this ripping blade on there. Again, maybe I don't know how to calibrate it, but with the blade it came with and this one, I've never got it to work great. So definitely a future project is figuring out how to calibrate this. Everybody online says that there's this guy who makes crazy stuff, like he does this reindeer out of a single block of wood, to watch his video, but I've never actually found his video that shows how to calibrate it. Got a lot of junk. I've had to put all these gas cans in here because, again, we just had Hurricane Milton. I needed my generator fueled propane, but I've got extension cords on the floor. So let's take a look around. We're going to go to the front over here. And again, this front area of this workbench is where all of my chemicals and stuff have sat. So as you can see, this is the state of my shop. It's in complete disarray. I've got stuff everywhere. I've got a lot of projects. So let's talk about what's going to happen on this YouTube channel. We're going to prioritize cleaning up the shop. So my next video is likely just going to be me coming through, cleaning everything up, and getting to its relative home. What does that mean? I've got drill bits here. I'm going to put them in the drill bit drawer. Is this where they're going to stay? Who knows? But I want to get everything put up. I want the floors cleaned, and everything that doesn't belong in here, that's in here because of the hurricane, has to go. All right. Step 2 is I need to actually get the table saw cleaned up. So I'm going to clean off the table saw, move all the motorcycle parts, get them back on the bike, get that fixed. Then I'm going to take then I'm going to start working on this outfeed table. I'm going to take the current outfeed table that's there and I'm going to make it work for now. I'm going to move the CNC and I'm going to set it temporarily on top of the drafting table. That'll give me free access to this. Once I have access to this outfeed table, I'm going to build a better platform for the bottom of this so it can still roll around, but it's not this high off the ground and I can start planning out better work. Can I use AutoCAD? Can I use any of those? Yes. I've learned on all of them. I've learned on AutoCAD. I've learned on FreeCAD, SketchUp. I've learned all of those. I can do them. They make great projects, but I prefer to start my project by drafting it out and then moving it to the computer. I feel like my inspiration is better when I can draw it, but then I actually need to translate it into better measurements. So we get an outfeed table working, move the CNC, get the base. This is not going to be a whole project. It's going to be a quick little get it together. From there, we're going to plan out a really nice outfeed table that incorporates the CNC and a sturdy outfeed bench that can roll around. We're going to build that. Once we have that done, we're going to make a decision on the table saw. Are we keeping it wide? Are we getting the slider? Then we're going to build the outfeed table there. In the meantime, we're going to build some more stuff on the walls to hang things up. I need to be able to hang my clamps better. I need some tools over there. We're going to make these decisions. Once all of that's done, we're going to focus on this miter saw. We're going to get all of this cleaned up. We're going to have a nice area where I can throw the scrap wood. Once that project's done, I want to build my dust collector again. So what are we going to do for that? I have an old Harbor Freight one. I don't want to spend the money on one of these Oneidas. They're really nice. I'm going to buy some parts off like Temu that has a cyclone separator. There's a guy who sells barrels. I'm going to build a barrel. I'm going to make a 2-stage. Once that's completed, I'm going to move the water heater up top. And once I have all of this set up, instead of running extension cords to the table saw, to the joiner, to the bandsaw, I'm going to then run electrical through the attic along with running dust collection. So I'm going to have a drop here, I'm going to have a drop here, and I'm going to have a drop there and here. So essentially we're going to have 4 drops. Miter saw, we're going to have a drop for the table saw, which will double for the bandsaw. We're going to have a drop there for the router table and the jointer. And then this drop right here will be for sanding and dust collection. This table, we're going to set a sheet of plywood on top of it. We're going to make a very thin torsion box assembly. And then we're going to mount those linear rails on here. And this is going to be where we can make a router sled for the bigger pieces of wood. And the idea is we could slide the wood through. Then this is going to be the computer station. I'm probably going to mount a second monitor there. And this is where I'm going to be able to run the CNC. And the CNC obviously will be over here. I'm just going to run a cable for it, and it'll be under that table. On this table right here, though, it has a lot of free space at the bottom. I'm actually going to modify the bottom of this to fit the 40-watt laser underneath it. And the dust collection here will be for the router sled, any sanding, and for the laser. Now, this router sled is going to be able to come off, and I want to mount all of my jigs on this wall. And I do need to get some of the lights fixed. I need another row there, and I want to do 2 rows here. It's a lot of light, but I like a lot of light. It helps when I'm sanding. I think that's about it. I'd love for you guys to drop any comments, any feedback. Tell me what you want to see. This is my first video here, so if it sucked, if the handheld stuff didn't work, if you want to see me more in the video, let me know.